You're listening to Brett on the Skateboarding Show.
I will start this like I do every interview and ask you simply, please, may you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Ryan Swain from Malton in North Yorkshire.
So people do skate north of Birmingham then?
Yeah, there's a whole scene above Birmingham, and it goes right up even above where we are. But yeah, Yorkshire's got a pretty good skate scene, pretty solid.
Yeah, no, I just digress because I'm aware that a lot of my stuff is very southwest centric. But yes, so whereabouts? So say again roughly where you are in Yorkshire.
Yeah, sure. So I'm in Malton in North Yorkshire, which is between York and Scarborough. So I'm between the city and the coast, which is quite nice.
Okay. A little while ago, you had a concrete place put in Scarborough. Am I right?
Yeah, we've got some really good parks around where we are. So we've got Hairy Bob's Skate Park, which is situated on the Marine Drive, which is the sort of harbour area of Scarborough. And then in York, you've got Rowntree's Park, which is quite a well-known skate park. And then you've got Leeds as well, which isn't far away either. So, we're surrounded by some good parks.
Nice. And do you frequent those?
Yeah, I like all the parks. I've just recently, which you might have seen, you might not have seen, recently rebuilt and campaigned to save my home skate park in Malton and Norton, which was in a bit of a state of a disrepair. But we've totally transformed it, and now it's like one of the only wooden skate-like parks in North Yorkshire. And it's really cool because we've got a half pipe, obviously, but we've got a nice little mini ramp and a few nice little features, nice hubber and a nice fun box, vert wall and stuff. So, yeah, man, I try and get out to all the parks around where I am and get stuck into the scenes, because each little town and city's got their own little scene, and I just sort of flitter about them all because I'm in the middle. So
right. Yes, because you were sort of renovating and getting the money together to sort of rebuild the outdoor vert ramp there in Malton, right?
Yeah, that's right, Brett. So originally we were campaigning to save the iconic vert ramp, because obviously that vert ramp's been there it's been in Malton for 20 years, but it's quite on the scene. It's quite a well-known ramp because it used to tour about with Team Extreme. It was like a display ramp that used to tour around the country, and then it landed in Malton about 20 years ago when the park opened. And since it opened, the council and people that maintained the facility never actually repaired it or restored it or even looked after it. So after like a lot of wear and tear, it kind of was in a state of disrepair and it needed some love. So we kicked up a campaign to save it, which blew up internationally. And after a lot of toing and throwing and a lot of fighting, we managed to get the funds, raise the funds, and rebuild it. So it's a freshly laid, freestanding, free-to-use vert ramp now in North Yorkshire, and it's the only one in the north of England, which is awesome.
Well, yeah, you wanna? I mean, are you in talks with Sean Kelly to add that to the vert series?
Yeah, I think the vert series are well aware of the Norton and Malton vert ramp, and it would be great to get Sean and the guys to come along and do a heat or a series in Norton and Malton in the north. Hopefully this year, maybe next year, who knows? It would be a great addition, I think, to the vert series, especially for those northern skaters.
Yeah, get to see some of the northern powerhouse out there. And
yeah, definitely. There's some quite young little rippers actually that are turning to vert now, and they're all sort of situated around the north of England as well. So it's a great opportunity for them to come and get stuck in without them having to travel miles and miles and miles to go and compete and show off their skills, if you know what I mean. But I do think it would be an awesome addition to the vert series, just because one, it's outside, and two, it's in the north of England, and I don't know the whole ins and outs, but I don't believe that the actual vert series has been that far north yet. So it would be new ventures for the competition, really.
Well, I know they go up to Blackpool I think that's probably
Blackpool,
about
yeah,
the
yeah.
furthest they go. Yeah.
Yeah, Blackpool's slightly below us in Lancashire, but it's not far away. But yeah, we're going coast to coast. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Newquay to Malton. That's a fair old spread. That would be a fair old spread.
Yeah, it'd be really good.
So, Ryan, how old are you?
I'm 32, and I've been skateboarding since I was 12, so 20 years
Right.
of skateboarding.
So do you remember that? I mean, we'll move on for the vert ramp, but I'm just trying to give some context. So, did you say you were 32 and you've been skateboarding 20 years?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You were 12, so that vert ramp had just been put in there when you kind of started.
Yeah, the vert ramp was there when the park opened.
Right.
It was basically what happened was a youth worker and a police officer from the town and the local area campaigned to get a skate park years ago, and then they finally got the permission to do it. And I don't think they really knew anything about skateboarding, but they had a big budget, which was, back in the day, not every council wanted to spend that kind of money on skate parks and facilities. So we were quite fortunate enough to have quite a big budget for the park, and they just went to town on it. And I think what happened was they were offered that ramp at a certain price, and they just said, yeah, we'll take it, not knowing what it was. And then it just appeared, this massive monument of, skateboarding just appeared overnight, and the rest of the ramps around it. There wasn't that much there when the park first opened. It was just literally the half pipe, a fun box. There was a couple of grind benches, a rail, if I remember rightly, and a jump box, and that was it.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah. It's come a long way since then. But that half pipe's always been there. It's been the sort of crown jewel of the whole park, really. And I remember using it when I was younger, being absolutely terrified of it, being a smaller, younger teenager person, looking up to this thing thinking, wow, it's 12 foot high. I'm never going to be able to skate on that. But with a lot of practice, I'm back on the vert. I'm skating vert at the moment. I'm really...
Oh, you broke up a bit there. I don't know if you...
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we're back.
You're skating vert again at the moment, and you...
Yeah, I'm skating vert again. Really, really enjoyed it. In fact, I feel more... I don't know whether it's an age thing or being maturer or more sort of emotionally... what's the word? More emotionally aware and things. But I do feel more daring now with it at an older age. Like, I want to get stuck into it more. Now to fall, I've learnt through experiences and and lots of years of trying. It's kind of resulted in me now just enjoying the ramp for what it is and trying some new tricks, but knowing how to fall properly and not hurting myself. I think the thing with vert skating now, I think it's become bigger, and I do think a lot of the older skateboarders maybe turning more to it, just for more enjoyment factors, reminiscing maybe what they used to be able to do back in the day, and taking it up a level. And obviously now the pads are a bit better, and the apparatus to be able to try and skate vert bowls, that kind of thing's a bit better. So it's more enjoyable in some respects.
I was going to say, when you say you're learning to fall better, do you mean you're learning to get to your pads a bit better?
Yeah, because obviously the technology now behind pads and things are a lot more, they're a lot more forgiving, especially on your knees and your arms, and it's just easier to get to, So
you started, from my calculations, if you started 20 years ago, you started around sort of 2002, 2003. Would you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Would you describe yourself as a Tony Hawk pro skateboarder?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up on them computer games. Without a shadow of a doubt, they really fired me up and inspired me, and more so the soundtrack really behind the games totally took me into music and that kind of culture. But yeah, I definitely grew up on the games. I grew up on all those stars that were part of the games and the franchise. and that's when skateboarding was exciting. I'm not saying it's not exciting now, because it's a totally different thing now. Is skateboarding? It's a commercial thing now. But back then it was, it was evolving, and I'm not saying it's not evolving now, because it's constantly evolving. But back then it was sort of pioneering with new things, such as mega ramps, bigger vert ramps. There was a whole raft of skateboarders, mainly from across the Atlantic, that were sort of pioneering with new tricks and taking it up to new heights in a lot of different ways. So it was an incredibly exciting time for skateboarding.
From my memory of that time, because 2002, 10 years previously, we had a big sort of jump in the technical side of skateboarding.
Yeah,
people had started
definitely
bringing in, the freestylers were having their time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I remember seeing, I think it was Cheese and Crackers, the Almost video with Day One Song and Chris Haslam on his mini ramp.
Well, yeah, that was a little bit later, but like that 2002 era was just when people were beginning to mix. Thankfully, well, they were a little bit into the idea of mixing power and technicality. So for the first time,
definitely,
we were seeing technical tricks popped high and popped well, and the idea of catching them was really important, as opposed to just letting them roll over the ground when you do. Granted, that was a little, sort of 93, 94, your kickflips were sort of skimming the ground. By 2002,
yeah, P-rollers rolling across the ground. Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Yeah, definitely. I think there was a whole energy of people wanting to take tricks bigger and better, for sure, and like you say, speeds became important. Landing tricks with style and precision became a thing. And if you look at where skating is now, that is the go-to thing, and
it's a standard.
Yeah, of course it is. And I also think with a lot of professional skaters, it kind of defines their character, really. It kind of defines who they are as a skater.
The question is always the cause and effect. Does it define who they are, or does who they are define their skateboarding?
Yeah, definitely.
It's always an indicator. Like if I don't know someone, I can sit back and watch at a skate park and just watch them do a few tricks, and it's kind of like, I think I might have a rough idea about what's going to happen when I come over and meet you now, and like sort of roughly the sort of person that you may, I don't always get it right, and I try not to let that prejudge my observation. I try to be open to the observation, but it's amazing how much you can take a good guess at what somebody's like by watching them do a few tricks. Like, okay.
I agree with that totally. And I think you can also sort of prejudge their mindset as well. Like some skaters skate with hesitance, and some just literally throw themselves at anything and don't think about the consequences at the time, and then they pay the price after. I've been in them situations many a times in the past, especially when I've rooked up to events or competitions, and you're in the moment, and you literally just go in all guns blazing, not thinking about what you're going to do or the line you're going to do, and you just literally throwing it down, and then you're on a roll, and then you get a little bit complacent and a little bit laid back, and then that's when accidents happen. So I can speak from first-hand experience. First-hand experience about that.
I just want to briefly touch on, because I mean, so it's 2002. You're sort of 12 years old. How popular was skateboarding up there at that point, or in your I mean, I don't just mean up there. I mean, because it's different from city to city. I get that, but your geographical area, your culture, your people that were you the only skateboarder in your school, or was there loads of you, or what was going on?
No, I wasn't the only skateboarder in my town. There was a generational shift of skateboarders. So what happened was there was a core group that maybe were the sort of the first to do skateboarding in the town, That'll have been in the mid-90s, 96 upwards, because they were a little bit older than me then. They were 5, 6, 7 years older than me when I started skateboarding. But basically, they used to skate around the streets and car parks and stuff. And that's the main reason why the skate park was built, because they were causing like what was classed as, we know it's not, but it's classed as antisocial behaviour to people that don't know the culture, and basically making lots of noise and grinding curbs and ledges and rails and things in a supermarket car park. So that was the main reason the council put the skate park in. And when they actually put the skate park in, a lot of them skaters that were skating the street stuff and skating the car parks back in the day stopped skating, which I found to be a little bit bizarre, because, like, you know, they've been skating for years and years and years, and now they've finally got a facility to go and, you know, take the skills up a level. They don't use it. So what happened was there was a load of youngsters that started skateboarding. I found skateboarding through a guy called Lucas Pettit, who used to skate in York quite a lot because his family used to go to church and stuff there. And he got me into skateboarding down his street. His dad built like a kicker ramp, and we used to skate that quite a lot. And then we used to head to the park maybe twice a week, and obviously on Saturdays and weekends and things when we were at school. We used to skate quite a lot, you know, and just watch other people either skate or ride the BMX or use the ramps, and then sort of, you know, grasp a feel for it that way.
Now you're a bit older, you figured out what happened though, didn't you? Because if those people, those ones that you were describing that were 5 or 6 years older than you, suddenly became teenagers and found sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
That is totally it, you know. That is totally it. But unfortunately, through my teen years, I went the other way and went more into the skateboarding instead of, you know, there was girls interested in me, and I could have gone to parties and I could have done whatever. But instead, I chose skateboarding, and I was more focused on my skateboard and my artistic sort of lifestyle that I've got and that I live now, obviously, back then even. So, yeah, I kind of missed the whole teenage sex, drugs and rock and roll thing when I was sort of 16 upwards. But I don't know, like, skateboarding's always been a massive part of my life, even from being a 12-year-old. Yeah, I can't remember everything, but I've got vague memories, and I always loved it back then, even though I wasn't very good at it when I first started, obviously. I still loved what it stood for, what it was about. I just liked the way that I was basically from a council estate, just a normal working class lad, but I was accommodated by lots of different people. You know, there was all different mindsets and different people and different classes, different walks of life, but we're all drawn together through one thing, and that was action sports. So I just like the way that it just opened its doors up for me and sort of welcomed me in, you know what I mean?
And you said that you liked what it stood for and what it stands for. What does skateboarding stand for you?
Well, for me personally, this is my opinion, and it's a personal opinion, but for me, skateboarding is about togetherness in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's an individual sport, and you can do it on your own. You don't necessarily need anybody to, you know, to do it. But at the same time, when you are doing it, you travel to new places, you learn new things, you listen to new people, you meet new people. Yeah, I mean, it's taken me to some amazing countries around the world, you know, like places that I never thought I would ever go to. So, you know, it's a cultural experience as well as a sport, in my opinion. And I think some people forget that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
a cultural experience. I like that.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's like, I don't know, I always see it as like it's an incredibly social thing. Even if you're not a very social, say if you're an introvert, I'm a very extroverted person, but it accommodates extroverts and introverts, and there's not many things that do that. Do you know what I mean? But skateboarding it can be anything you want it to be, really. That's the beautiful thing about skateboarding, and you can do it at any time. You know, you don't have to be a certain age to do it. You can pick up a skateboard from, you know, being a toddler upwards. So there's no right or wrong time to start skateboarding or learn skateboarding or understand skateboarding.
So then, and we're going to make a bit of a jump now because there is a bit of a jump. I mean, obviously, you continued. You explained a little bit about you continued skateboarding. I take it you just continued at school as per your usual. Did you do university and college and all that sort of gear,
Yeah, I went
or
to college. Still skateboarded through college. I never stopped skateboarding. Skateboarding stuck with me, and the first few years of skateboarding were incredibly difficult. I was confused to whether I was goofy or regular or Mongo switch. I didn't know what I was. I didn't really know what I felt comfortable doing. I learned a load of tricks in fakie, which I thought was fakie, but it was nollie because I was skating with the wrong feet, and yeah, it was all a bit confusing. But the more effort I put in, the more I wanted to learn, and the more I wanted to learn, the more knowledge I got about skateboarding. So when it started to click, and I understood the sort of fundamentals of skateboarding, it started to get exciting because I was developing, and I learned rather quickly. It all seemed to happen very suddenly. I got good really quickly, if that makes sense.
right? Yep.
Like 50, I wasn't particularly great up until the age of 16, and then when I got to 16 and left school, started college, I sort of changed my style of skateboarding a lot. I started skating a lot more transition, getting a lot more daring with tricks. Just try new things. But I would sit and watch certain skateboarders and be like, and try and master how they would set up a trick and catch a trick, and most importantly, land a trick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research. I went to college, studied performing arts at college, and skated throughout the whole like holiday thing. Like the summer holidays and all that, term holidays. And then at 17, I started getting quite good, started going to competitions, started taking it up and out of the town, out of the area, started going and supporting events that were happening. I think it was the UKSA back then, the UK Skateboarding Association, and like Nick Powley and them guys, they used to do events, they used to come to the works, used to go and skate the works quite a lot in Leeds. And there'd always be something happening, maybe, in the summer. So I'd always try and get stuck into that. And then things started happening, started winning prizes, getting noticed. And then I started filming for a section, and I put a bit of pressure on myself and slipped out and dislocated my shoulder, which put me out of skateboarding for 8 years. Properly, There was a bit of a hiatus there, yeah. So I was aged 20 then, so it was a real blow for me, that, because I was getting to a stage where not only was I enjoying the skateboarding, most importantly, but I was getting to a stage where maybe it could have gone somewhere in a different direction. I don't know. It could have led to a big sponsorship deal, or it could have led to me working more in action sports, whether it was broadcasting or, doing something around skateboarding. But because of that injury, it kind of just put me off the whole thing. And I don't know, back then I wasn't as emotionally intelligent as I am now. So I didn't know what to do with my feelings or how I was feeling about it. And my answer to that was to focus on something else, which I did. And I sort of left skateboarding behind for a little bit. But then I had a family.
What did you focus on?
Focus more on I've always done like a bit of comedy. I've always done lots of presenting and lots of DJing and music and stuff. So kind of focused more on that entertainment thing that I had going on. Went to work as like a red coat and stuff. Went down that route in like entertainment. But you know what? I was doing really well in that and succeeding in that. But I was always thinking about skateboarding. Wherever I went, it was always on my mind. Like, when Sidewalk was around, I would always be looking at Sidewalk or looking at my phone or looking at whatever on the internet to see whoever's up to what. And, I was trying to keep up to date with what was going on in the scene or what was happening in skateboarding. And, it's something that's never left me. Maybe at that present time, I wasn't particularly feeling as confident as I should have been with skateboarding, hence why I didn't continue doing it.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised after an injury like that. That makes total sense.
But yeah, I don't know. I just was always interested in it, and it's never left me. Even now, to this day, it's still with me, and it probably will always be with me until I die, I think.
You're listening to The Skateboarding Show.
And did you say then also, just as I interrupted you, that you had or you have a family?
Yeah, I've got a family. I've got identical twin daughters, and funnily enough, they both skateboard now, which obviously I've influenced a little bit, but I'm not one of these pushy parents, you know. Like, they've seen me obviously skate, and they've seen videos of me skate, and they've always obviously they knew about what I've done at the skate park and stuff. So they've been asking for skateboards for presents for the birthday. So I got them a skateboard a couple of years ago, and they've absolutely taken to it, and they really love it. So. Which is nice to see, you know. So I'm sort of teaching them now, which is a bit surreal. But
so again,
good.
Using some quick maths, if you were sort of 20 and then you took an 8-year hiatus, it's sort of in the last 4 years or so that you've picked up your board again and got started again. Would that be
correct? Yeah,
okay.
And obviously you've probably heard this in interviews, and you've heard this from many people, not just with skateboarding, but with many things, you know, with nostalgia and reminiscence. The lockdown, you know, the pandemic definitely did things to many people, and skateboarding came back into my life in a very difficult time for everybody, and obviously with it being an independent sport, you didn't necessarily need to rely upon anybody to go and do it, and you weren't getting into trouble for doing it, most importantly. So yeah, skateboarding came back into my life, and literally picked up a board, didn't overthink it, overanalyze it. I just thought, right, I wasn't doing it to necessarily even get good. I was doing it just to keep fit, and because I forgot what that feeling of excitement you can have from picking up your skateboard and going out on it. So it was nice to sort of rekindle that, and I just loved it. You know, it was good, great summer for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So now we're coming a little bit up to the more modern day, and it sounds like you've got a quite exciting thing coming up. Let us know about what you're doing, because this sounds quite interesting.
Yeah, so we're back up to skating now. Obviously, I rebuilt the skate park with Pete King Ramps. Big shout out to Pete, because I work quite a lot with Pete, and I'm going to be working with Pete this year, emceeing quite a few events and building some new parks across the country. But at the same time, we rebuilt the park, we saved the half pipe, and I'm just happy to be back in the scene of action sports. But this year, I'm going for something which is probably the biggest challenge of my entire life in terms of athleticism, because I've always wanted to do something which is pretty groundbreaking for skateboarding, but I also do a lot for other people and charities and the community. So it's a win-win really, either way I look at it, because I'm going for a Guinness World Record in skateboarding, and it's going to be for the farthest distance travelled on a skateboard, which currently sits in the USA and has done for best part of 9 years, to a skateboarder called Andrew Andras, who skateboarded 274 miles at the Miami Speedway in Florida. I believe that this record has never been attempted in the UK before, so it's a brand new thing for Great Britain. And there is an unofficial record as well. I hope I get this guy's name right. I think he's called Joe Mazzone, and I believe that he skateboarded just around 300 miles, but it was never recorded through Guinness. So I'm aiming to break the Guinness World Record as it stands, which is 274 miles, but I'm hoping to exceed the unofficial record as well. So there'll be no arguments or any petty nonsense, and I can say, look guys, that's done. Do you know what I mean?
So you're not expecting like a documentary about this in 5 years' time with somebody whining about like which one was the furthest and what's going on and who was document. Let's not talk about who skated furthest and who did what. No. Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know the whole ins and outs to why they did their their accolades, which both accolades are amazing. You know, the achievements are amazing, and I fully support what they've done, and I think it's fantastic for skateboarding. But I'm doing it for a charity. I'm doing it for M.I.N.D, because I think mental health is so important, and it's a big thing in the skateboarding scene, but it's a massive thing, you know, worldwide. And it's not even just about raising money, it's also about raising awareness as well, which is, in my opinion, even more valuable in some respects than just raising money, because if you could get somebody expressing how they're feeling or recognizing symptoms of mental health, not just in themselves but in somebody else, then that's how things are going to progress and things are going to get better. So if we could get people talking about mental health and their mental state, then that's what we intend to do as well. So we're doing that for M.I.N.D UK. All of proceeds will go directly to their charity. It is under a sponsored thing. I've got a Just Giving page. I am going back to the old school a little bit, Brett. I'm going to print off some, sponsor forms and go around people's businesses and things, and just, if you don't ask, you don't get.
No,
do you?
absolutely. Yeah.
So I really am deadly serious about this. Training very hard at the moment. I've dropped a stone in weight. I'm going to drop another stone, get down to 11, 12 stone, get really fit, really strong. There's a lot of repetition involved with this, so it's not just about being physically fit, it's also about being mentally fit as well, mentally strong and prepared, because I believe we've calculated that it's I think it's 165 laps of a 5-mile course that I've got to do in less than 24 hours, which is is quite a lot. And but I'm trying not to think statistically here. I think you can overthink things and overanalyze things. And if I'm in that mindset on the day and I'm focused, when I'm focused, I'm dangerous, So I just need to be focused and fit and just stick to what I'm doing at the moment.
So you chose M.I.N.D. I mean, I've often wondered about the ratio of tortured geniuses in skateboarding compared to like everyday life. If you were to, does our ratio of people that would come under that title, is it the same as everyday life, or is it? Because I get this feeling that we've got a couple more probably in skateboarding than there is in the everyday circles of people and the everyday ratio of people. I'm not going to name any names. People who have been in skateboarding long enough could take a guess and probably know their own people in their own scenes that aren't even famous, that are verging on the edge of either suffering from mental health issues or are tortured geniuses or are both, or there's some other thing going on.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's something else that you've missed there, which is probably being misunderstood, being misunderstood as a human being and as a person, and even as a skateboarder. I think there's a lot of prejudgment with people. I always say that you shouldn't really judge how somebody treats you necessarily, because you don't always know what kind of a mental state that they're in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's easy to sort of sit back and be offended, or sit back and be like, oh, I'm not speaking to you anymore because whatever. But at the same time, you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors with people. Some people are good at expressing themselves and some people aren't, and some people find that difficult. So I totally understand that. I think M.I.N.D in general as an organisation last year, they had over 128,000 calls, just asking about mental health and asking for some support. So this is
that's just over 10,000 calls a month, isn't it? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. That's 10,000. That's just for their helpline as well. I believe that over 21 million people accessed information. I think it was between 2021 and 2022 with M.I.N.D statistically, which is a staggering amount of people when you think about the UK population. I think we've got 70 odd million people in this country. So it's nearly a quarter of the UK which are suffering with mental health problems or disorders, or trying to find that information to try and help somebody else that's enduring one. So, the statistics are staggering. It's talked about everywhere, but nothing seems to be getting done about it, and it's such a shame. The real groundbreaking stuff will come when people start accepting it. That's the key with all of this, I think. I still don't think it's socially accepted as much as it should be.
Yeah, so like you say, it's not only the financial side of it, but it's the awareness side of it that you're looking to sort of address.
Yeah, definitely. Something that I feel very passionately about. You know, I'm an empathetic person, so I like to sit and listen as well as talk, as I can talk for England. But I do like to sit and listen to people's stories, and some stories that you hear really touch me. And it's like, you know, I always put myself in their shoes and their situations and think, you know, I'd hate to be in that, and how can I help you? You know, I feel that sort of passion and that compassion to want to make that difference. Not everybody does, and that's fine, you know, but at the end of the day, all it takes is just a little bit of thought, really, and you know, if you're willing to help somebody, you'll do anything. And as you've rightly said there, there's a lot of this going on in skateboarding, I think, you know, and there's also a lot of goodness as well. Like, there's a lot of groups that are emerging now, which are very diverse, very multicultural, and open to everybody in the scene, and that they really focus around mental health. You know, they get together, they have a skate and they have a talk, and that's good. And there needs to be more groups like that, I think.
Slightly sort of, I was going to say ironic, but I don't think it is, because you've touched on the sort of interesting connection between those two things. You're going to be performing an act to raise money for M.I.N.D as an activity, and that act is going to require not only a physical exertion, but quite a mental one as well. Like you say, 165 times.
That is quite ironic, yeah, because it's going to be a lot of mental torture for me, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to think of it like that. I'm thinking it as mental exercise, which, you know, I have ADHD, and some people know that, and some people don't know that. But for those listening, I've got ADHD, and it's what it is. I'm not, you know, I don't see it as a weakness. Sometimes I see it as a strength. Can help me with a lot of things, but at the same time, it can also cause me a lot of problems. So it's best friend, worst enemy kind of situation. But at the same time, like, I think this will exercise my mental strength. You know, and I always say, if you can persevere and get through things, then you know, you're already on the way to recovery in a lot of respects. You know, it's about being able to sort of build up that resilience and persevere throughout the dark times. Not everybody can do that. You know, it takes a lot of experience to go through, I think, to be able to do that. But yeah, no, I'm more than confident about this challenge. I do think that it is achievable. I wouldn't have put myself forward for the job if I didn't think it was achievable. I mean, look at Eddie the Eagle, man. I could be like an Eddie the Eagle figure of skateboarding here. You know what I mean?
Did you say you're going to do it within a certain time frame?
Yeah. So the adjudicator and timekeeper, it has to be done. There's some strict rules. I'll go into the nitty gritty. So there's some strict rules. It has to be done within 24 hours. That's the record broken within 24 hours. So I have to exceed 274 miles in 24 hours. I can stop. So if I needed to use the toilet or get a drink or something, I can stop. But I'm not allowed to, the board isn't allowed to leave the ground. So I have to leave the board on the floor in the place that I stopped. Then the watch will stop. And then I resume from where I left off.
Jeez, does that mean you can't ollie over? Like, are they?
Yeah, there's no tricks. The board cannot leave the floor. The board has to stay on the floor all times. If I fall, it's over. So
really?
There's a lot of pressure there as well. That there's more than this than meets the eye.
That's
there's a lot of pressure. Yeah. A lot of control, a lot of stamina involved, as well as athleticism. So it is quite a big challenge. You know, it's not like one of these, like you see on Guinness World Records, where they're doing chopping up so many watermelons in 60 seconds. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that isn't a difficult thing to do and it doesn't require skill, because it does, but it's 60 seconds.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is a full day, you know.
And are you going to skate?
24.
Are you going to skate for those whole 24? Are you like skating all the way through the night and into the morning and then into the next day?
the possibilities are endless, and I've sat and thought about this many a times, like over the last sort of 8 weeks that since I've announced doing this, how I'm going to do it. I still haven't come up with a strategy to how I'm going to do it yet. There's a few ways in mind that I've got which could work. I do kind of maybe want to go in all guns blazing at the beginning, try and get in them, the strong miles at the beginning, and then sort of decline a little bit halfway through, and then pick up the pace towards the end. So do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll go in strong and then level it out a little bit and then finish off on a high. But I don't know. I don't think there's any right or wrong way of doing this. I think it's either going to happen or it isn't. So, but either way, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
So,
I still
have you
raised money and awareness for mine. So that for me is it's a triumph either way.
Because now you've got me thinking about this, but just briefly then. So have you figured out what pace you're going to have to keep?
I haven't even thought about that yet, no. But I'll tell you briefly. In 2012, shortly after my injury, I picked up the skateboard once and I did a charity challenge for a friend and a girl who lived in my town in memory of her, to commemorate her, because she died of a brain tumour. And I did a challenge to raise money for her charity, a foundation that she'd set up called Luby's Lifeline, which raised money for brain tumour research. And I skateboarded from Malton to Scarborough, which is the equivalent of 56 miles there and back. And I did that in less than 4 hours.
Right.
So that was unofficial. It wasn't a Guinness World Record or anything, because it wasn't recorded then, and we didn't have access to like the media or social media, or we didn't have computers like obviously we've got computers, but we didn't have like technology like we've got now. So it was more difficult to record those things then. So I still did it anyway, because I wasn't really bothered about being a record holder or anything like that. I just wanted to raise money and awareness for her charity and keep her legacy going, really. So I did that in less than 4 hours. So if I can do that now in 2023 in May, then there is a really high chance that I could smash this record, because work that out. So that's 4 hours, 56 miles. Yeah.
4, 8, 16.
Yeah.
Even 20. So 20 hours would be 5 lots of, let's call it 50 miles. So 100, 200, 350. You might even get 350 miles.
I could even rack up 350 miles.
Hang on. 100, 200. That's 250. So 250, sorry, in 20 hours.
In 20 hours. So that gives me another 4 hours to rack up another,
to get to the 300.
50.
Yeah, to get to the 300. Yeah.
So
you might have to go.
It is achievable.
It's achievable, but it sounds like you might have to go start 12 o'clock on one day and not finish till 12 o'clock the next day.
Exactly. Another thing as well, which I must throw in the mix here, is that, especially for the listeners, is that the other two guys that have attempted this and done this, most importantly, they used big, massive longboards with huge, I'm talking like 90mm wheels. Do you know what I mean?
Wow, okay. I was going to ask about what kit you're going to use.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're asking. So I'm proposing and planning on doing this on a pretty standard park board, 8.5, 9-inch.
Just a standard skateboard that you'd normally go and use down the skate park.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing it on a because that's what I feel most comfortable on.
Right.
I've had to go on cruises before. I've had to go on longboards. I've had to go on mountain boards. Park boards for me is what I feel most comfortable on. And I probably will be using some bigger wheels than the 58mm that I've currently got on. But in terms of trucks and all that sort of thing, I'm just going to stick to what I've got on at the moment, which is my indies, Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, definitely. Park board.
Have you got a date planned?
8th of May, 2023.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Bank holiday Monday. It's going to be amazing. I'm trying to within the skate scene as well. Everybody's welcome. It's at Elvington Airfield in North Yorkshire, and it's now a supercar track. So it's like an airfield and supercar track. I am proposing that it's becoming more of an event than just a challenge. So I'd like as many spectators there as possible, but I'm going to put on some music, some food, and a DJ, and just make it a real event of togetherness, really, like trying to make a big difference and a big positive change for mental health and for the charity. So yeah, I think, and not just that, I think that would just give me a little bit more of a momentum. You know, if there's people there that I really care about or whatever, then come on, you know, challenge is on.
Well, I sincerely wish the best of luck to you. Where can we find out more details about this? I know you've got the Just Giving page, so give us details about that. But
so I've got a Just Giving page. It's the link of that is on my Instagram at the moment, which is official Ryan Swain. On Facebook as well, there's going to be a lot of things going up on my Ryan Swain official Facebook, and TikTok too. I've started doing TikTok. I'm basically at the moment, obviously, I've just been given today, as of today, weirdly, been given and gifted a free gym membership pass from Everyone Active, which run a load of gyms and swimming facilities in the UK, and we've got one in our town, and they've given me a 3 years gym pass to go and train.
Wow.
So I'm going to be documenting all of my training and what I'm eating, and basically making it into a journey that everybody can sort of follow, and you know, it might even inspire other people to do it and be more proactive and make a positive change. I don't know, that's what I'm all about, really. But yeah, man, so all over social media, and obviously the mainstream media will be getting involved closer to the time, but that's all I can say about that at the moment. So,
well, let's okay. So you're doing this in May. We're in January now. Let's hook up again in March. I want to hear about what you're doing and how you're doing it and where you're up to and what. And so let's give you some accountability. You said so. You've already lost 1 stone and you're planning to lose another.
Yeah. So I'm currently weighing at about, I was weighing in at nearly 13.5 stone, but I've dropped a stone.
Right.
So I want to get down to 11 just to be on that sort of fitness side of things, really.
Again, do you have a plan? Do you have a plan for that, or?
Yeah, at the moment we're actually piecing together a proper structural sort of fitness regime, fitness plan, and diet plan as well, which is also important. I think a lot of people think just because you're hitting the gym and being really proactive, that you don't necessarily have to eat as well. Do you know what I mean? Which is nonsense. So I am being very disciplined with that. Trying to eat as much fruit, much veg as I can, getting the protein. Drinking lots of water as well, which is quite important. But yeah, no, I'm definitely 100% serious about this, and you know what? I think it'd be a great thing for skateboarding, not just for myself, but for the whole scene. You know, to sort of say, look, we've brought a world record back in skateboarding, but not just for some novelty thing, for something which is quite serious. Do you know what I mean? So I think it'd be an awesome thing to have, and. Why not? Why can't the UK have it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is it always the US? We should be doing more. So,
well, with that in mind, go on. Sorry.
But yeah, I just want to say briefly a big shout out to everyone at Skateboard GB for supporting me with this now. A big shout out to Everyone Active for the free gym membership today. Big shout out to you guys for supporting me, and big shout out to anybody else who wants to be involved. Really, feel free to get in touch with me directly. The more the merrier, that's what I say, that can come on this journey with me. I think it'd be an amazing thing to be a part of, and hopefully we can bring a new world record back to the UK in skateboarding.
Yeah. Well, okay, so people can get hold of you on the Instagram that you've mentioned, official Ryan Swain.
Yeah, that's correct.
And on your Facebook.
Yeah, and TikTok, that's all the same handle. So you'll find me at official Ryan Swain on all 3 of those social media pages.
Okay, and if anyone's got any way in which they can help, or they want to come and support you, or they want to get involved, all they got to do is contact you, yeah?
Yeah, straight away.
Beautiful.
And it'd be hugely appreciated. So.
And I really want us to check back in again sort of March, maybe end of March, and see where you're at then.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, Brett. I'm going
to where you are
obviously
now.
take lots of videos and lots of pictures, so there'll be lots of content that I can send you and show you as well. So, and you can show your viewers and listeners as well. And I don't know, it's going to be a real journey. And like I say, if this inspires even just one person, then my job is done.
Yeah.
I mean, if it inspires or helps at least one person, my job's done. That's what I'm all about. So let's do this. You know, I'm more than ready to do it. The thing is that I wanted to do this many years ago, and obviously due to confidence and my injury and everything that was happening at that period of time, there was never really a real good time to do this. But now everything seems to have shifted. I fixed the skate park, got 2 beautiful daughters, my job's going okay. Most importantly, I'm feeling okay and I'm feeling good. So I feel like it's now or never, and this is my chance to do something big for the skateboarding community. So
time to get amongst it.
Pardon?
Time to get amongst it.
Yeah, it's time to roll up the sleeves and get scogging, man, and get stuck into that skateboard. And yeah, if I'm going in with 80mm wheels, I guarantee there'll be 70 by the time I finish.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, I'm really, really stoked for you and really pleased for you. Bloody good for you, man. Bloody good for you.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I really appreciate your support.
That's really good. Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap this up. And like I say, let's get amongst it again in March and see where you're at and see how your program of development's going and where you're at with it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. Thank you. Ryan, say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to the Skateboarding Show, you dumb spreeds! You